Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Dapo Adegboye. The top stories at this hour. Queues return as petrol scarcity hits Abuja, neighboring states. Divided West African host two summits this weekend. Extremists kill local leader in Ethiopia. Details in a moment. Petrol queues emerged in Abuja and parts of Niger and Nasarawa states on Friday due to the closure of many independent marketers' filling stations. Dealers shut their outlets because they could not access petrol following a hike in the ex-Dapo price to 710 naira per litre by private depot owners. Motorists flocked to the fuel stations still dispensing fuel, leading to long queues at NNPC and major oil marketer stations. Independent marketers who operate over 70% of filling stations attributed the problem to the increased ex-depot prices. Abubakar Mangandi, president of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, highlighted the disparity, noting that the NNPC retail stations sold petrol at 670 naira per litre. Let's also tell you that the United Nations has once again forecasted that by 2030, 82 million Nigerians, that is approximately 64% of the country's population, could face hunger. The organization urges the government to address climate change, pest infestation, and other threats to agricultural productivity. This warning follows a continual rise in food prices across the country. The National Bureau of Statistics reports that in May 2024, the nation's food inflation rate reached a historic high of 40.66%, surpassing April's rate of 40.53%. This marks the most significant annual increase in food prices since record-keeping began in 1996. Let's move to Rivers State now, where the governor, Sim Fubara, has assured that his administration will not waver in its commitment to providing critical infrastructure required for the speedy development of the state. He gave the assurance on Friday while speaking to newsmen shortly after he inspected the extent of reconstruction work done at the zonal hospital project at the Bori town. That's headquarters of the Kana local government area. This is amidst the political crisis rocking the state, where factional Speaker of the State House of Assembly, led by Victor Oko-Jumbo, has confirmed the filing of an appeal at the Supreme Court challenging the judgment of the appeal court delivered on Wednesday in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital.
I want to assure you, every one of you, and the good people of Rivers State, that we are not deterred. We have made our promises. We will continue to give you good governance, no matter what it is. But like I said before, the worst is over. We are moving on to ensure that we continue to provide what is needed for the development of our state. So we're here to check what they're doing, because if you could remember, about a month ago, we did release money for the rehabilitation and expansion of 4 zonal hospitals and about one general hospital. So we're here to check. And let me say that I'm really impressed with what I've seen. The contractors are really committed. They understand the dream and aspiration of this administration, that we are people, when we make promises.
Well, to discuss this, I'm joined by member Caretaker Committee, Port Harcourt City Local Government Area, Tekena Gbosi. Tekena, thank you for joining me on the news at this time. Now, this recent development as regards the House, I've been a member of the Caretaker Committee. What does this, does this create any form of apprehension, or what's your position at the moment?
Well, my position is clear. What the ongoings in the state has nothing to do with anything. Like, as the governor likely said, there is nothing to worry about, because I think there is no judgment whatsoever with what the appeal court declared, because it's normal. The constitution is clear that if any member of the state assembly leaves the party in which he was elected into office without any issues or crises in the party automatically vacates its seats. And to call a spade, this is not a judicial issue, but a legislative issue. And anybody of the remainder of the other assembly members can declare the seats of the defector assembly members vacant. You know, and I'll bring to your attention that no court has set aside the declaration of the vacant seats. So that still remains vacant. The appeal court only made a pronouncement that it lacks jurisdiction. And what I will say here today, the Okojombo-led faction of the State Assembly, Okojombo, who is the authentic speaker of the State Assembly, is doing the right thing, and going to the Supreme Court is saying, they never asked the appeal courts anything. They said these people should stop parading themselves as assembly members. That's it. So the state is calm, the state is peaceful, everybody is going about their normal duties.
Now, let's also talk about the fact that this, of course, would impact on the people of the state in terms of development and all. Do you think, are you of the opinion that this would slow down the pace of administration in the state?
No. Everything is going on as it should be in the state. As a caretaker member in the Port Harcourt City local government, we're going about our daily job responsibilities. Every other local government caretaker chairman and the members are as well going about their daily responsibilities. Businesses are going. Businesses are thriving. His Excellency, the leader, our father, Sasimila Fubara, he's doing a great job. He's commissioning projects and flagging off projects, like as you can see. So whatever the ongoings of the other faction would affect anything or any development, His Excellency is bringing to the state. So everything is going on peacefully.
All right. Now, let me come back to, of course, your day-to-day job. You said that all is going on well. We know that when the committee was instituted, there was men, of course, armed men deployed to the local governments, barring people, staff, inclusive from, gaining entry. Are you still working remotely?
Yes, we're working remotely. The local government can be run. After all, the post-COVID situation gave room for us to work anywhere. Anybody can work anywhere as it is in the world right now. So that doesn't affect our job responsibilities or duties. We carry on with our job responsibilities from anywhere. So it doesn't affect us in any way.
Okay. Now, the governor also said something about elections being conducted. He even said maybe, as soon as possible. Has that been, put in motion yet?
Yes, I think the INEC brought out the RISEC, they brought out sometime in October that the local government elections will be conducted. And we're following to the timetable of the INEC. People have started doing their consultations and all. So anyone that wants to contest an election should go and start doing consultations and according to the in lines of the RISEC. So elections will go on in October, hopefully.
All right. Adegboye, of course, a member of the Caretaker Committee, Port Harcourt City Local Government Area. Thank you for your time on the news.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
And you too. Several members of Nigeria's political elite have called for the radical approach to policy formulation and the political reforms that can help the nation achieve its objectives. This was during the Professor Emeka Umera public lecture, which held at the nation's capital, Abuja, reviewing policies of the current administration and its impact on delivering good governance to citizens. News Central's Amadine Uyi tells us more.
It was a dialogue to x-ray challenges affecting Nigeria and profile wide-reaching recommendations aimed at repositioning the nation. The Professor Emeka Umera public lecture attracted a wide array of intellectuals and members of Nigeria's political elites who highlighted some of the key challenges affecting the country.
These crises are basically the crisis of social justice, one, the crisis of productivity, and the crisis of public ethics. The crisis of social justice has two aspects. What we call the nationality crisis. Who are we? Can we just be one and move together? Two, the state religion crisis. How do we structure a balance that allows us as religious people, but at the same time allow this a secular state organized in a secular democratic manner?
If government has no business in government, why do we go through all the rigor, all the challenges we go through to elect a government? The market by its nature is not accountable except to the buyer and the seller. But we elect governments that are accountable, that we should be held responsible for our collective well-being.
Some in attendance say policies formed with Nigerians in mind and considering their peculiarities were more successful.
Nigeria was at its best when we formulated policies that were informed by the Nigerian condition and by the character of the Nigerian people. Up until that needless debate about whether or not the Nigerian state should surrender and we should delegate the market to regulate our lives. The more debate about structural adjustment program.
Others think a radical approach to policy formulation and political reforms can help the nation achieve its objectives.
Leading Nigeria requires navigating complex challenges and making decisions that may not yield immediate results or compliments. Mr. President is conducting himself as if he is not interested in a second term in office. He's making policies that, though not popular, I believe those policies will yield great fruits.
Only a radical transformation of our politics will help us permanently avoid this crisis. And these two facts is what inform my idea of a social contract or a social compact as a programmatic framework to transform Nigerian politics from an instrument of predation and violation of rights to an instrument of freedom and prosperity.
The lecture with the theme Nigeria Yesterday, Today, and a Prosperous Future took time out to commend the renewed hope agenda of the current administration, saying it presents an opportunity for Nigeria to make hard-reaching decisions which will benefit the nation over time. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we have more stories. Stay with us. The Federal High Court on Thursday nullified the ad hoc delegates Congress that produced the delegates that chose Adegboye as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. The Federal High Court in Abuja, presided over by Justice Ekwo, declared that the PDP nomination processes were non-compliant with its own constitution. As a result, the court had set aside all processes leading to the Edo PDP governorship primaries held on February 22, 2024. The court's decision means that the People's Democratic Party has no candidate for the upcoming Gombe polls for September 21st in Edo State. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has responded by stating that the candidature of Adegboye as flag bearer of the party for the 2024 election remains intact, and that the judgment of the Federal High Court did not in any way affect the candidature of their candidate. Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by legal practitioner Maxwell Okpara. Maxwell, thank you for joining me on the news. Now, I want you to, of course, shed more light and bring us up to speed on this development.
Well, thank you for having me. I read that judgment last night, and I read what was held. What the court held? The court held that the delegates, the plaintiff, those that went to court, that the delegates which they use to conduct that election, that primaries, are not the authentic delegates, that the other people are the authentic delegates. Then court now ordered, get the ruling of the court. Court ordered that that delegate are the delegate presented by the plaintiffs are the authentic delegates. Now, and they declared, they asked court that court should declare that their own delegates are the authentic, which court declared. Now, the question there is that this matter was filed when before they conduct that primaries. Now, while the matter was there, one expected them to, immediately after they conducted the primaries, you expected to amend their processes. Now, adding that candidate that emanates from that process, one, also amend their claims, asking court to declare the election null and void. Also, asking court that court should also declare that the candidate of that PDP candidate that emerged from that particular process, court should declare that he should stop parading himself as candidate. So that court did not make that order. So in other words, that election still stands. That candidate still stands. I'm talking about the law. Then court will now say that you are the authentic candidate. And they also say that the restraining PDP from stopping these people from exercising their power as a delegate.
You know,
so in other, can you get me? Can you get?
Yes,
can you
I'm listening to you, Maxwell. I mean, I was of course following your line of thought, because I had a conversation just yesterday with one of the media aides or media official of the Godalo campaign, and he categorically said that what has been, peddled all over is mischievous, saying that the candidature of Asue Godalo, as declared by the court, was actually was actually false, saying that his candidature was invalid and all of that. But again, that brings to this front burner the judiciary in all of this. We are beginning to see the judiciary play a pivotal role in our electoral process. Is this not a situation of the judiciary itself overstepping its boundaries?
No. You go to court. Court should declare that I am Maxwell Opera. I am supposed to be in your studio by 3 p.m. As a broadcaster, and you did not allow me to be there. Court now will say, but court will not set aside this program you are earning now because I'm supposed to be there. Except you are asking court that all the whole programs you earn now should be set aside. What am I saying?
The reason where I'm getting to, sorry Maxwell, where I'm getting to in all of this is that we are beginning to see a situation whereby the integrity of the judiciary is being dragged. You see cases where people go to court, get injunction, another party B will get another injunction that supersedes the, so the court is more or less being used as a pawn in a game of politics, and people are beginning to question if at all the court is becoming or being an instrument of confusion as against an instrument of what I call it peace and clarity.
Yes, you are right. You are 100% right. Our court has been used to cause confusion in this country. I believe that. But why I am invited on this program is to tell you that particular candidate of Edo State, court did not set it aside. Court did not set that election aside. Court did not declare that the guy is not a candidate. So what you are going to do now is to go back to court, saying that for the fact that the process that brought you in is a faulty process, that court should set aside that thing. But you can only do that because that one now falls into pre-election matter. If it has fallen into pre-election matter, you have a local standing to challenge this. We have Supreme Court has said that the only people that have the power to challenge any pre-election matter are those the aspirants that participated in that election. So they did not follow the distance. You would have amended their process immediately. After that election, you apply to amend their process, get all this claim, so that court will declare that particular candidate null and void, declare that election null and void, set aside that election, set aside and give an order restraining the candidate from parading himself as a candidate. That will be the proper position. But we are failed to do that. That young man, the PDP Edo State candidate, is still the candidate of Edo State. That election that brought him still stands. The only thing there is that the court has declared now that you are the authentic delegate. In subsequent election, you can make use of it. But as for this one, you cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand. That is the lie. I read the judgment yesterday, And I said, what is this noise all about? It's as simple as anything.
All right. Thank you so much for your time on the news, Maxwell.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Now, let's also tell you that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Insecurity, has tasked Nigerians to encourage and support the efforts of security operatives to enable them to do more in protecting lives and property. The minister made this known during the distribution of operation vehicles to security agencies equipped with state-of-the-art communications gadgets to help fight crime in the federal capital. Now, Joseph Edo has more.
Abuja is known to represent a melting pot of citizens from different religions and ethnic groups. The influx of citizens into the capital city has put immense pressure on the city infrastructure, thereby affecting the security architecture of the capital city, with various crimes now being recorded.
Any government that cannot secure lives and property has no business in governance. And so it's a priority for Mr. President that Nigerians are secured.
In a bid to tackle this rising challenge, about 50 operational vehicles are being distributed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to various security agencies within the capital.
It's not my responsibility or the Minister of State responsibility to go and engage criminals, but it is our responsibility to provide the tools for the security agencies to confront these criminals and make sure we sleep with our two eyes closed.
We want to appreciate you, sir, and we are promising you today that we are going to make intense use of these tools. We are going to put it outside to make sure that everybody in Federal Capital Territory lives. It's a safe area for us.
The minister urged residents to support security agencies in their quest to rid the nation of crime, saying sometimes they pay the ultimate sacrifice with their lives.
If we avail you with what the security agencies do every day and night, you'll be surprised. The kind of crimes they have stopped, the kind of criminals every day they arrest to make sure that we move on with our lives, we carry out our businesses without any hindrance. So we must at all times continue to support them, pray for them. They are also human.
The 50 operational vehicles were distributed among the FCT Command of the Nigerian Police, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Department of State Services, and the Nigerian Army, amongst others. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Wife of the Chief of Army Staff, Maria Lagbaja, has emphasized the transformative power of education as the cornerstone of progress, speaking in Jos as part of activities to mark the Nigerian Army Day celebration. She is also the president of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, engaged with teachers and students at the 3rd Division of the Naowa Model Primary School to strategize for enhanced academic achievements. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe has more.
That was the reception of the wife of Nigeria's Army Chief, Maria Lagbaja, by members of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association at the 3 Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment. She is on the plateau for the first time this year to commission the Naowa Unisex Hair Salon and Medical Aid Station by Naowa members as part of activities to mark this year's Nigerian Army Day celebration hosted by the 3 Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, Jos. Academic excellence was a watchword during her chat with teachers and pupils of Naowa Model Primary School.
For this reason, I made education a priority in my administration, guided by my vision of sustaining legacies through unwavering commitment to unity and service for the betterment of humanity.
She attributed the successes recorded by Naowa to inspiration drawn from Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu.
Her excellence, commitment to the well-being of our military families, and indeed the well-being of all women and children across the nation, has been a source of inspiration to us all. Her exemplary leadership and dedication have greatly contributed to the success of our initiatives, and we are very grateful for her guidance and support.
Elated chairperson of Naowa 3 Division and the oldest serving teacher of the school, who was gifted a token of 1 million naira by the Naowa president, had words for her.
Your leadership and vision have been a guiding light for us all, and your continued support has significantly impacted the growth and development of our school. We are inspired by your dedication and are motivated to strive for excellence in all that you do.
I only say thank God. God only remember me today. I'm very happy God has really paid me, because I really suffer in this school, under rain, under sun.
Maria Labaja also had gifts for the sick and injured persons at the 3 Division Medical Hospital and Services. That was in appreciation for Naowa President's token to members of the Nigerian Army Soldiers' Wives Association and wives of the fallen heroes. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
Africa's Pro-Transparency and Accountability Coalition has raised an alarm over the growing upsurge of military coups being witnessed across the continent. They made this known in Abuja, where they called for urgent action to address the shrinking democratic space on the continent.
A lot of milestones have been achieved, but we are faced more with challenges now than ever. As a country, Nigeria is currently surrounded by several military rules. I know quite a lot of the military regimes in the sub-regions are falling back on some level of populism that currently is happening here. But that populism is not enough that will make this sub-region a region known for militarism or whatever.
The 92nd Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers has rounded up its meeting in Abuja. The two-day meeting saw ministers from ECOWAS member states deliberate on a wide range of issues in preparation for the upcoming ECOWAS authorities' heads of state and government, where their resolutions will be submitted to help the authorities make informed decisions about the peace and progress of the regional bloc. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs commended the depth of analysis and spirit of partnership displayed, saying the collective decision arrived at will make a prosperous and peaceful West Africa.
Of analysis and the spirit of partnership displayed in this session have been truly exemplary. The resolutions we've adopted here will form the bedrock of discussions at the upcoming 65th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. Our diligent work over these past 2 days will help our leaders to make informed decisions that will advance the interests of our community. The tasks ahead are formidable, but I have no doubt that with our collective determination, we will continue to make strides towards a more integrated, prosperous, and peaceful West Africa.
Residents of Funakaye community in Gombe State have embraced the Greener Gombe campaign, a tree planting exercise to restore the environment and combat climate change. The Gombe State Governor, Inoa Yaya, has flagged off the 2024 tree planting campaign, presented checks worth millions of naira to 7 community revolving funds beneficiaries under the program. News Central's Umaru Kerawa completes the report.
Climate change remains one of the major problems across the globe, causing change in rainfall pattern, drought, flood, among others. In Nigeria's Gombe State, the government is supporting young men and women, as well as farmers, with cash assistance to help empower the local communities to promote the practice of climate-smart agriculture and directly tackling climate change.
as traditional rulers, always count on us for support and solidarity in the implementation of your people's-oriented project and initiative.
I want to urge you to please, when you go back to your various places, you make sure that you have this in heart, so that you'll be planting trees in your communities, in your houses, in your farms, and wherever you find yourself. Because trees are very important. Without trees, we cannot survive.
We will be planting 16,000 seedlings, consisting of fruit-bearing and other economic species, as part of the effort to rehabilitate 20 hectares Badwood Lord plantation here in the body of the community.
Under the Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes, which is AgriSal project, we have already achieved the recovery of about 140 hectares of land through our afforestation campaign. This is part of a larger plan to deliver 1,905 hectares of afforestation in 2024.
Governor Inwa Yahaya launched the campaign at Konongbagi, where he emphasized the importance of tree planting in addressing environmental degradation and mitigating climate change impacts.
This initiative underscores our unwavering commitment to combating deforestation and restoring degraded lands in Gombe State, thus demonstrating our proactive approach to environmental sustainability and climate resilience.
I'm happy to tell you that under your leadership, Gombe State is #1 in the 19 northern states and FCT as far as AgriSal is concerned.
The campaign encourages all citizens to participate in tree planting activities and take ownership of the environment. In Funakai for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
News Central Television has received an award of excellence for its commitment to excellence in journalism and its support for women in law enforcement at the International Association of Women in Peace in Africa Training Conference. The award was presented by Nigeria's Inspector General of Police, that's Adegboye, and received by the Managing Director of News Central Television, Kayode Akintemi, in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Now, News Central's Joshua Imarai has more.
The closing ceremony of the training conference by the International Association of Women in Police in Africa, the gathering the largest convergence of female law enforcement officers in Africa, with female police officers attending from over 18 countries. Guest speakers expressed their optimism over the state of security on the continent, saying with female police officers determined to make a difference, much can be achieved.
Believe you me, there's going to be a total change, because we brought in the private sector, not just the police, private sector and the military sector together to make sure that this program is a huge success. So definitely the impact, the testimonials are already coming already. And we know that Africa will not remain the same.
So there's been a mind shift, a kind of a mind surgery. And the women are going back to their stations empowered. They're going back to their different stations trained. They go back to different stations filled with gumption and filled with that impetus to attain great heights in their different countries.
They say that female law enforcement officers on the continent will gain inspirations and valuable insights from the conference, enabling them to make a positive impact in their respective countries.
You have engaged in fruitful discussions. You have learned from each other's experiences. You have shared best practices. We have affirmed our commitment to promoting gender equality and empowering women in law enforcement.
I see the women, the women in the police force. There's a lot of cooperation. There's a lot of knowledge sharing they have. And, it's just going to make them stronger. It's going to make them more excited about what they do. And it's just going to foster a lot of international relationship.
News Central Television was also presented with a prestigious award of excellence by Nigeria's Inspector General of Police for its partnership with the association, which seeks to transform security and policing on the continent.
So this is one of the areas of our passion, and that's why we're supporting. We will be there at News Central, giving 100% support to the women police officers in Nigeria because they're doing an amazing job. We're proud of them and we're thankful to God for the work that they're doing.
The conference, which lasted 4 days, focused on several thematic areas which build the capacity of female law enforcement officers on the continent. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
On the news, rights groups say legal measures to protect victims of femicide and domestic violence are still lacking. There are details of this and more after now. The news continues in West Africa, where a divided West African hosts two presidential summits this weekend. One in Niger between Sahel region military regime leaders, followed by another in Nigeria on Sunday, with leaders of the wider economic bloc. Saturday's summit in Niger's capital Niamey marks the first between military leaders of the new regional bloc, the Alliance of Sahel States. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger set up the Mutual Defense Pact in September, leaving the wider ECOWAS bloc in January. The exit as the trail shifted away from former colonial ruler France, expelling anti-jihadist French troops, and turned towards what they call their sincere partners, Russia, Turkey and Iran. Meanwhile, Sunday's summit in the Nigerian capital Abuja offers heads of ECOWAS states the opportunity to discuss relations with the AES. In North Africa, femicide and domestic violence against women in Northern Africa has increased, according to a report online and by some media. By rights groups say legal measures to protect the victims are still lacking. According to watchdog Femicides Algeria, which has been documenting murders since 2019, at least one woman is killed each week in Algeria. The NGOs Aswad, Nisa and Manara say in Tunisia, femicide rates quadrupled between 2018 and 2023, reaching 25 murders compared to 6 in 2018. The situation is also alarming in Morocco, where Stop Femicide Maroc against group has recorded 5 killings so far this year, with at least 50 cases in 2023 and more than 30 this year, the year before.
والله يوري فيا قوته يضربني يخنقني وليت نرقد نخاف انه كش ما يدير لي وانا راقده يقول لي انه دوك نتوما كانت كش ما ديري وقتاش طلبت منه الطلاق قال لي كانت تدي تيتمي ولادي.
In East Africa, a woman in Ethiopia's northwest region, Amara, where an armed insurrection took place for more than a year, has been shot dead by extremist entities. The Amara Media Corporation described the militias as Fano, the second largest of Ethiopia's 80 or so ethno-linguistic communities, which took up arms in April 2023 against the federal government and the regional authorities. The local leader's death comes a month after the expiry of the state of emergency proclaimed last August in a so far unsuccessful attempt to quell the Fano insurrection in Amara. Ethiopia, the second most populous country in Africa, is plagued by a myriad of local conflicts combining political and community demands, punctuated by numerous acts of violence against civilians. Still ahead, the U.S. President Joe Biden says nobody more qualified to win a race than him. We have details of this and more after now. U.S. President Joe Biden insists that no one is more qualified to lead the nation or defeat Donald Trump than he is, swatting away concerns over whether he can beat his Republican challenger in November. Now, Biden made this known in his first television interview since his disastrous debate performance when asked if staying in the race against Trump might jeopardize Democrats holding on to the White House.
I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. You know, not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation in the world. Madeleine Albright was right. And every single day, for example, today, before I come out here, I'm on the phone with the Prime Minister of, well, anyway, I shouldn't get into detail, but with Netanyahu. I'm on the phone with the new Prime Minister of England. I'm working on what we're doing with regard to in Europe.
The executive chairman of Kwara State Sports Commission, Bola Kale Mogaji, has assured that Kwara Stadium will be fit and ready for Kwara United Football Club next season. The Nigeria Premier Football League listed Kwara State Stadium as one of the stadia that may not see action in top-tier league owing to what the league body described as deplorable condition. As part of Kwara United, Abia Warriors, Sunshine Stars and Shooting Stars and other clubs that have been directed to work on defects in their stadium. The league body ordered the clubs to upgrade their playing turf or face the prospect of playing on alternative grounds. West Ham has completed the signing of Wolves captain Max Kilman for £40 million on the 7-year contract. The defender is reunited with Hammers manager Julien Potagui, who made him a skipper while head coach at Munich. Wolves rejected West Ham's opening bid of £25 million, but accepted an improved offer for the player they signed from Maidenhead for £40,000 in 2018. The National League side are also due to bank a 10% sell-on of £4 million from the deal. Kilman made 151 appearances for Wolves, scoring 3 goals since making his debut in May 2019. The Russian Wrestling Federation said the 10 wrestlers who passed the eligibility checks to participate in this summer's Olympic Games have rejected the invitation after initially being barred from the Games over Moscow's military offensive on Ukraine. The International Olympic Committee has moved to allow a handful of Russian athletes to take part under a neutral flag if they meet strict conditions. In this regard, the Executive Committee of the Russian Wrestling Federation held an extended meeting with the coaching staff of the Russian national team for freestyle, women's and Greco-Roman wrestling, and with athletes who received invitation on the Olympic Games, and came to a unanimous decision to refuse to participate in the Olympic Games. And that's a wrap on the news at this time. But before we go, another look at some of our top stories. We told you that queues have returned as petrol scarcity hits Abuja and neighboring states. Divided West Africa is hosting 2 summits this weekend. Also, we told you that extremists have killed local leader in Ethiopia. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live across these platforms. That's DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching, and Dapo Adegboye. See you soon.